holistic financial planning. So to that end, I've asked you prior to complete an income worksheet, an expense worksheet for one of your enterprises, and it could be anything on farm, off farm, anything that you get an income from that you spend money on. And then lastly was a household worksheet where you've just categorized your expenses and put them across the 12 months, the financial year from July to June. Now, to give you a little hand with that, I'm just going to share my screen. I wanted to introduce a very simple Excel financial planning package to you. So this is a very simple Excel program, and it follows the paper trail that we're going to be following on the last session to do the financial planning. So just following the tabs down the bottom here, these are the steps we'll be following them as per the ebook, which again I'll be giving you the ebooks for financial planning. That's 6 and 7. So starting with a financial review, remember the formula we looked at the last session where we changed from the conventional, where most people, or just about everybody I've ever chatted to, the first thing we do if we want to start a business or do a budget is we look at the income. We look at the marketing to see what people are prepared to pay or how much of the product they're going to take. So that helps us with the income. So the first thing we do is look at the income. Then we look at the expenses associated with producing that income, and then that hopefully results in profit. And you know, as I said before, profit becomes the result of business. So we're going to turn that around. So profit isn't the result of the business. Profit is really what we're focusing on. So we're going to be using the formula of income minus profit equals our expenses. So when you see the steps here, we see planned income. I'll be talking about these two little concepts of logjam and debt, but then we plan our profit and then we plan our expenses. Now, generally, I'm sure you'll be familiar with the term of how we categorize expenses. And just about everybody categorizes them as fixed or overhead. And the other class of expenses is direct or variable. So the direct or variable expenses are directly related to an enterprise, where the fixed and overhead you pay regardless of what enterprise you pursue. So holistic management changes the categories a bit, and so yeah, we'll do a bit of learning around that and why we do that. So here's the little Excel program. So as I said down here, plan the income, plan the profit, and then look at the expenses. So if we go to the income tab, again, very simple Excel program. There it is there. The password, if you want to change any of the parameters here, is capital H, capital M, but anywhere that isn't shaded is not protected. So you can change these. We can say instead of cattle, we've got a goat enterprise, and our goats are going to earn us $300, let's say for 6 months. We're going to be planting some garlic. And that's going to earn us $1,000 for 3 months. And then we have a job, which part-time job, which we get $500 a month. And let's say at Christmas we get a bonus. So there's our income, total 11,800, and then we go across to the profit. There's our 11,800 income, and now we plan the profit. Okay, now last session I asked you to complete an income worksheet for yourself and think about your profit. Now, again, I'm sure most of you found that quite difficult because it's very different to the way we always plan profit. Income minus expenses then tells you what your profit's going to be. Whereas what we do with holistic financial planning is once you've got your income, then ask yourself, in terms of your context, however you've said you want to feel around your holistic context, and I can remember feelings such as secure, comfortable, generous, all of those feelings that you want to feel around finances. If your income was, in this case, $11,800, how much would you want, no strings attached, at the end of the planning period, in this case the year? How much would you want with no strings attached in your back pocket? Pure profit. People often struggle with it and say, oh, well, you know, it'll go for a holiday. Well, if you want a holiday, let's create an expense category called holiday and put in a figure for holiday. In holistic financial planning, profit has no strings attached whatsoever. So let's say this person was earning $11,800, and what is the profit they want? Let's say they want to end up with $1,000 at the end of the period. So if they had $1,000 at the end of the year, it would make them feel really good about their finances, like they've done a good job, and they will feel secure and comfortable and generous. Okay, that's now capped our expenses to $10,800. We then move on to our expense category, and again, you'll see these follow very similar to the worksheets. We've got the months across the top, and then the various categories on the side. And then if you just pop in your figures, so you should have one for household, and I've given you some categories here. Pop in the household ones, and then one of your enterprises where you've captured some expenses, pop those in there as well. And then it'll automatically generate the final sheet, which is your income expense plan. Across the top in big writing, there's your $1,000 that you want profit, no strings attached. And here are all your planned income figures and your planned expense figures. And then with this sheet, normally a couple of days after the end of the month, you should be able to go in and put in the actuals. And that will allow you to keep yourself on track, making those little adjustments to make sure that you end up at the end of the year with that $1,000 profit. And of course, once we start getting towards the end of the year, then you'll start asking yourself, well, I've got the $1,000 profit. Now, where do I reinvest it in myself or in my business? So it's not just hanging around, because we know what will happen if we leave it just hanging around, it disappears. So that's the little program I wanted to share with you, and hopefully you have a chance to put some figures in there before we meet